where you stand, like I'm holding a match to the bridge here in my hand. I pull away when it starts to feel like quicksand. I cover up my panic with the well laid out plan. Feels like every beginning has an already planned end. Welcome to Problematica. Here we go again. Here we go again.
Yeah, so it looks like my consistency is like every 2 weeks, bi-weekly. I think that works. With my current schedule in life. One thing that was so interesting though, and I didn't look for this. I didn't go out looking for this. It just popped up on my FYP when I was doom scrolling. You know, one of my uh, techniques when I'm zoning out or just not wanting to be attached to the real world. And as I was doom scrolling, a TikTok popped up. And again, I will add said TikTok in the comments there or chat. But the individual was describing, apparently he is a coach. He was a coach, allegedly, as it relates to dealing with people who are suffering or trying to understand people who have avoidant attachment. So interesting, right? And like, why don't you talk to people who actually are working in coming out of that versus just making up things. But anyway, so this individual says that he could tell if you're an avoidant attachment person by your eyes. It was really interesting. And not to say he did not have some factual context, right? If you all are on my TikTok page, I do talk about something called the 1,000 yard stare, right? Most people who are a lot of people who have been who have experienced trauma in their life have this 1,000 yard stare look. And I think I posted a video about it saying, you know, it was when they were talking about people who have autism or on the spectrum. There's a look or a gaze or a stare they do. So, and again, being that there's a lot of traits that mimic each other when you're looking at autism and when you're looking at somebody who is suffering or experiencing PTSD or CPTSD, right? There's a look. And so I'm not going to sit here and say the gentleman did not have, he was onto something. But the way it was described was very demoralizing, I guess, for lack of a better word. Or just, it wasn't presented in the most nice presentation or way, the way he was describing it. But as somebody who is a recovering avoidant attachment individual and somebody who has traumas, working through trauma, PTSD, CPTS, I'll drop the D. With actual education behind his statements, maybe the video would not have been so kind of like, what the hell are you actually talking about right now? Because then he goes into avoidant attachment people wear certain clothes or they have one outfit that they wear and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Obviously, you need to do some more work with avoidant attachment actual individuals and not hearsay. Anyway, I digress. Did the video kind of spice me up? It did. But let's go back to the stare. So, does he have any credibility when it comes to saying there's a look people who have avoidant attachment have? He does. And it comes back to the core issue of why people develop this attachment style, right? A lot of it is because there's trauma in their background. A lot of it is because somewhere in their life journey, something occurred to them where they felt affection and things of that nature is not safe, can't be relied on. And a lot of the times it's trauma associated or adjacent. So, yes, they could have a look because it's that 1,000 yard stare. What you're seeing is dissociation. That's what you're seeing. If we want to have a clinical conversation, not just somebody saying they have dead eyes and they wear one outfit. Okay. And the dude has clicks. Absolutely. Has a more following base than I have, with my inconsistent ass. But, I'm trying. I'm working. I'm recovering, right? But give the context around the clickbait, right? And I get people do things for clickbait. I'm not that type of person. I'm here to educate. Look at I got bars. Anyway, so yeah, is he accurate? Could there be a look? Yes. Do I have said look? I have had said look. I probably still do. And sometimes it's not due to trauma. Sometimes I'm just not present. I am a Pisces. We dissociate a lot. And then I got Scorpio moon mixed up in there. We go off to other planets a lot mentally. So it's not necessarily just attached to somebody who is an avoidant attachment. Sometimes you're not looking necessarily at the issue of them not wanting to be there. Sometimes they're not, and it's because they've checked out, because they have been dysregulated. Okay. So on my YouTube channel, because now I'm doing that. And if you're listening to this on the YouTube channel, obviously you already know I have one. But if you're not, I don't know. Substack I don't know. I'm trying Substack. I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to see what fits for me. I have a lot going on in life, so I got to find what's the most convenient. And also share and educate, because I have gotten feedback that this information has been helpful. Because I think my core people are people who have either identified that they do have avoidant attachment challenges, behaviors, right? Because it's a spectrum, right? Everybody who has avoidant attachment um, doesn't all act the same, right? Just like trauma is different and individualized, so is your attachment style. So, and I just think my core are people who are recognizing that they happen and trying to move past it, or somebody who is in a relationship with somebody and they are trying to do the work, right? And if you are, send them over the podcast. It might be helpful. Or the YouTube, because there will be stuff on there as well. Because I mean, it is a challenge. It's something, especially if this has been your standard operating procedure, right? Especially if you have learned this from childhood and this is just how it's been, and now someone's giving you the words for it. So it's going to be a challenge, right? You can't turn the Titanic around in one day. So there's that. There's that conversation. So yes, if you have avoidant attachment style and somebody says you have dead eyes or something of that nature, I wouldn't take it necessarily as a personal attack of character, even though it kind of sort of is. But looking at the core issue, all right, we can't just treat the symptom. We have to treat the core issue. And the core issue is the trauma. The core issue is a learned behavior that for a moment in time did serve you well, but now it's problematic. Like the title of the podcast. A little title drop there. But and a little ASMR. Okay, sorry. So just make sure that, you know, if you are working with somebody or dealing with somebody who has it, you can definitely just say, hey, if you start to see the cues that the person is checking out, find out what's going on. What's going on? You good? Just a little check in. Sometimes somebody saying, are you good? Brings you back, lands the plane, lets the rocket come on down from the space and the ethers out there. But making it sound like we're dead inside, it isn't helpful. Now, if you're doing it for clickbait, go right ahead. You know, entertainment purposes only, go right ahead. Everybody has the option to keep scrolling. But if you're really trying to help and identifying yourself as a coach, then how about let's coach the right way, right? Let's use actual You want to use words like empirical data, peer reviewed, actual interactions with people on the other side of the fence, and not just what you're perceiving. Um, it might just make it a little bit more helpful for everybody out there. So, other than that, I also wanted to talk about beyond the dead eyes. I think that what they call um it. Didn't he have like dead eyes or something like that? I can't remember. So yeah. Other than that, really, I also wanted to focus on the fallback, and not necessarily the fallback in you stepping away from somebody. And again, right now I'm talking to the avoidant, not that fallback, but when you revert back or slide back into your old ways, it's going to happen. So this is just a helpful reminder that just like you started again when you started your journey to come out of these tendencies, we want to do that moving forward, even if we do have a time where we fall back into our old ways. When you recognize you've done it, you want to address it immediately, though. So I think sometimes as avoidance, you might fall back into a situation or fall back into your old ways. And then when you realize you've done that, you feel too much time has passed. So I'm just going to leave it alone and just act like this didn't happen. That's, again, an old pattern. So the accountability part helps in making sure you're building trust in the connection that you're trying to maintain. So, like I said in the first episode, what group are you in? Because if you're in the group that you have no desire to move beyond or develop new skills, new traits, new behaviors, right? If you're not in that group and you're fine the way you are, then this probably is not for you, right? You probably are the people that some of these coaches are talking about with dead eyes and vain to humanity, and they wear the same clothes every day, and that might be you. I don't know. But if you are somebody who's trying to make changes, you're trying to develop healthy relationships or maintain the ones you're in, when you do fall back into old patterns, you want to redirect yourself as soon as you realize you've done it, or as soon as somebody brings it to your attention. And taking that accountability helps build that trust, because that's key. And then the next thing is the co-regulation. And I'll have a whole video for this because this is so important. So when I train individuals, because side note, I work in trauma. I I've experienced trauma. I work in trauma. I'm kind of am trauma. But when I am teaching or educating or training new individuals going into um, the field to work with people who have gone through traumatic experiences, one of the things I talk about is how you pace, how you talk, the tone in your voice. All of those things can help somebody who's in a crisis response. But in one word, what I'm explaining is co regulation. And what co regulation does is the person who's experiencing the trauma attaches on to somebody who is the calm, the anchor, the rock. And they're able to co regulate. So if you're listening and you're the anchor, the rock, that core person, if somebody's co-regulating or needs to co-regulate, you just being there is all you need to do. The key is not to lean into their responses. So if you have somebody yelling and screaming, not to the point of it's abuse. If it's abuse, that's a whole nother conversation, which I can do that too, just not here. But that's a whole nother conversation. If it's somebody is just having a trauma response, the way you respond can help calm this person down and help them steady themselves. And again, it's how you talk, it's how you pace your conversation, it's your tone. And then this co-regulation magic happens. And the other person, there's something called mirror neurons, which that's another conversation, um, that start to activate. and this individual will start calming down too. That's the magic of co-regulation. And I'll go into more in depth on some of the videos I put, but I just kind of wanted to state that as well, because I don't see a lot of people talking about it, explaining it to what it is, however they can recognize when it happens. And I think sometimes that's more important. Like for me, saying my name is a co-regulator for me. Like if I am having an anxious moment, or if I'm going down my list of all the things I have to plan for because if this happens, blah, 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 blah. If somebody just says, Michelle, stop. It's like a kill switch. Like all that stops. All that doom thinking, catastrophizing, all that stops. And I'm back. So, different people have different switches. So it's key to find out what yours is. And if you don't know, ask the people who are closest to you, who have seen you in that response mode, who have seen you in crisis response, who have seen you checked out. Because it works for me when I disassociate too. Or as that gentleman put it, our dead eyes show up. If somebody just says my name, I'm pulled back into reality. And again, that doesn't necessarily have to deal with trauma. I'm just really good at dissociating. So other than that, and besides me fighting my allergies right now, I'm hoping everybody is doing well. Um, and yeah, keep going. Keep going. There is better on the other side of this. For the people who are listening who are lonely, for the people who are listening who have really self-sabotaged every freaking relationship they've been in, there is something on the other side, but you have to do the work to get there. Right? So think of me as like a bus coming to pick you up. You gotta get on the bus. So again, we'll be back within the next 2 weeks. But in the meantime, check out on TikTok, check out YouTube. There, I'll be populating over there. I even have a playlist because once I listened to that individual talking about avoidant attachment individuals, and I was reading some of the Reddit, there's a lot of curiosity of what the avoidant is thinking. There's a lot of curiosity about what are they doing when they disappear, when they disassociate, when they ghost, there's a lot of questions about that. So on Spotify, if you go to or search the mind of an avoidant, and I'll link it into our YouTube channel and on Substack. But I have songs that can kind of give you some insight on what the avoidance is thinking when they're in the void. So hope maybe it'll give you some help around that. And as an avoidant, it might give you some words to explain what's going on when you are in the void. Uh, but yeah, just trying to shine some light into the mystery of what happens when we do disappear. But at the same time, know that we are human. We have feelings and emotions. We are not something that you need to look at from a museum and track how many times we blink, breathe, when we're wearing certain outfits. You're just somebody who's working through this life journey just like everybody else. Right? There's probably somebody who makes content for anxious attached. There's probably somebody who makes content for other attached. I'm just where I live in the void. So as we recover together, as we work through this together, know that you are exactly who you need to be. There's support out here. Every relationship is not trauma, but we have to do the work to get there so we can see that. So, as we head off into the summer months, if you're on my side of the planet, I hope you all stay well, stay hydrated, and I look forward to talking and connecting with you in about 2 weeks. Bye.